Hey everybody, this is Beth McCullough. I'm a Stampin' Up Demonstrator in Iowa in the United States, and I actually do live videos every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central with my sweet husband, Steve.
Hi everybody.
We're not here for a live video tonight. It's World Card Making Day.
Yay!
So how are we celebrating World Card Making Day?
By making cards.
We're making cards. Earlier in the week from World Card Making Day, we're actually going to the University of Iowa-Michigan football game.
Oh, well, there's that too.
We bought the tickets before I knew it was World Card Making Day.
And before we knew that our Iowa Hawkeyes are going to struggle on offense.
Yes, we didn't know that. But Steve cannot say I always put the cards before him because I'm going to a football game instead of...
On World Card Making Day.
I know. I can't believe it's happening. So here's the card I have for you today. It is a very easy fun fold. And as you can see, this upper tent section is glued onto the back of the card and also the little front step. It has a cute inside. It's easy to make. But before we get started, let's talk about why we're doing flowers. My topic for today is gardening. And I grew up on a 10-acre hobby farm, and we had about, almost an acre, half an acre of garden, which is great because I eat really good, healthy food, and I appreciate that. The part I didn't appreciate was every morning, all summer long, my job was to go out and weed so many rows of the garden. And I don't mind working hard. I was a farm kid and I was okay with all of that. But Steve, there was one thing I wasn't okay with. Do you know what that was?
Snakes.
Snakes. I do not like snakes at all. Do you guys like snakes? I'd be weeding along, minding my own business, and a garter snake or a bull snake would come slithering by, and I would yell and scream and run in the house.
And refuse to work for the rest of the day.
And then I have to explain to my father that night why my rose didn't get weeded. So,
you know the irony to this. Some of your viewers are in Australia. They have real snakes in Australia.
I know. How do you guys do that? So then I was never going to garden again because, when your brain isn't fully formed, you think you know everything. And I was never going to garden. And then here we are. We've been in this house 30 years and Steve built me lots of raised mini gardens. I have like 7 gardens. And
because they're raised, the snakes can't get in there.
He's told me we've lived here 30 years and I've not seen a single snake.
And so
I believe, I don't know if it's because my dogs go outside with me and they slither away before I get out there. Whatever the reason, I love gardening. I love being in the sunshine. I love having the dirt, even under my fingernails. It makes me feel good. I think there's something in the soil that's good for like your mental or emotional health. So if you don't garden, I would recommend you do. I like red raspberries the most. I have a whole garden just of red raspberries, a second garden of strawberries, and then I have several vegetable gardens, and we grow different things. What's one of your favorite things we grow?
Well, the peppers, because we make fajitas.
Yeah, and you like the cucumbers a lot.
I like the cucumbers a lot.
For the cucumbers, I've trained my kids, I have 4 adult kids, that if you cut them with a crinkle cutter, cucumbers are amazing, right?
They taste so much better when they're cut that way.
I don't eat them from the grocery store in the winter. The only cucumbers I eat are the ones I grow because they're so good, right?
Well, they taste different.
Yeah, it's different. Tomatoes taste different too. Steve thinks he doesn't like tomatoes. I grow big tomatoes and little cherry tomatoes. They're like candy. And he thinks he doesn't like them because he grew up having to eat grocery store tomatoes. Poor kid. Actually, you had grocery store everything. And he grew up on canned peas. I ate fresh peas out of the garden. So
Kids even cook them. They don't make it into the house.
Yeah, canned peas are not allowed in this house. I just think they're gross. So anyway.
But if you eat canned peas, we're not shaming.
Sorry if you do. But I would eat canned peas like in a shepherd pie or a chicken pot pie, something like that. But that's it. Not just
Honey, you have
peas.
already offended the canned pea people. Okay.
I'm sorry. But anyway, so I grow fruit and vegetables and flowers. And of my stamp sets, almost all of them are flowers. So I just had to make you a flower card as I celebrate gardening.
She has flower gardens in the front of our house and the back of our house.
And the sides of our house. And
everywhere.
yeah. Right now, we had a storm a couple weeks ago, and all the flowers, everything was decimated. And then the roses came back so pretty. In front of my house, I have a little garden of red and pink roses, and it just makes me happy.
And your autumn joy sedum in the back, nothing can destroy that.
Autumn joy sedum is so good. I want to feed the bees. We need bees if we're going to have plants, and bees cover it. They don't bother us at all, but they love the autumn joy sedum. But anyway, so we love to garden. I hope you do too. Let me know. Leave a comment if you like to garden. So let's get started on this card. Like I said, it's super easy. The first thing I'm going to do is show you what I use to make it. I use the very common rhinestone basic jewels. I use the Mary Merlot ink pad, the True Beauty stamp set that coordinates with the paper I used. This, you can see where I cut out my diorama here. This is the Awash in Beauty Designer Series paper. Very pretty. And I use the pretty pillow box dies. You wouldn't need to get that. You just need something to cut the sentiment out.
Yeah.
Speaking of the sentiment, I don't have it out, but I did use white embossing powder and Versamark and a heat tool to heat that. This is the diorama that I cut out the Mary Merlot layer and the DSP layer and the stitch greenery. This is one of my favorite dies. If you don't have this, you should think about it. It's super pretty.
And what were the dies again?
These are called diorama.
Oh, diorama.
Layering diorama dies. And I'm going to hold these out because I'm going to show you something with that. Okay, so let's get started. I have measurements in both inches and metric. Metric is hard. It makes my brain hurt, but I bet if you're metric, inches make your brain hurt just because the cardstock sizes you start with are different. But I went way out of my way, and I would like you to tell me if you're metric. If I did this wrong, I want to hear about it so I can correct it. But I think I did it right. I tried really hard. So in English, and Steve is going to put screens up with the measurements. Sometimes it's easier to see the measurement and hear it.
And you want me to do both imperial and metric?
Yes. And also, can you put the brand up so they know? My website is actually stampingmom.com. And Steve's going to put that up in the corner for me. And then under the banners, the first banner is what we need. So this is balmy blue cardstock. It's 4 1/4 by 9 inches. And I went ahead before you got here and I scored it at 1 1/4, 2 1/2, and 5 3/4. Now the biggest section is over here. It's not going to have the embossing on it. The reason for that is it's the back of the card. And also the die is big enough. So I lined it up with this last score line and I ran it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine just like this. So the back of the card is the biggest section, no embossing. All the front pieces have embossing.
Should we show the metric?
Yes, show the metric, please. So the metric, here I have a vanilla card for that. It is 10 1/2 wide and 24, and we scored it at 3 centimeters, 6 centimeters, and 15 centimeters. Now, the reason I did that is because 15 centimeters is how big the die is. And I know sometimes it's frustrating that our dies work with the English cardstock, and I didn't want to make your card so that you couldn't get the whole thing embossed. So if you look, yours is taller than ours, but I would have maybe even made it taller if I was doing it proportionally. But I wanted you to also be able to run it through with the 15 centimeter die, and the back of your card is not embossed. Okay. Yay. Like I said, tell me if that didn't work out. Okay, next we are going to take a bone folder and we are going to do a mountain fold and then a valley fold. Can you see this on the screen, Steve?
There you go.
I'll put my card up here. And then a mountain fold. So this is what your card looks like. Mountain, valley, mountain. Okay. And then you're going to take this piece, and I have a screen for this, Steve. I called this the card base tent. And it is also balmy blue. It's 2.5 inches by 11, scored at 5.5. Now for metric, it is 6.5 centimeters by 29.7, also scored in half. And what we're going to do is we are going to actually attach it. And I wrote down on here, this is approximate. Put it where you want. But if you notice, I didn't put it all the way over to the side. I have a thin side here and a bigger side over here. So it's approximately 1.5 centimeters off the left edge of the card, or 1/2 inch. So I'm going to grab some adhesive. And I'm just going to eyeball it. It doesn't have to be perfect. There's no reason for that, okay? So we're going to put adhesive just down at the bottom because it's just going to go all the way to the bottom and about 1/2 inch from the left side. And we're going to hold that in place. Then on the back of the card, this entire tent is going to be adhered to the back of the card. So hopefully that is adhered. And again, we're 1/2 inch over, so I'm not going to put the adhesive all the way. So just fold this down. Actually, don't fold it down. Lift it up. Were you going to catch me on that,
It wasn't
honey?
going to tent if you did it that way. The most important thing is to line up the two edges.
Yeah, we need to line up the bottom, and we also need to be able to shut the card. And we're going to let that sit for a second. Now, I wanted to show you on this, the card is going to be taller because your cards are taller. So I did make it so it's exactly going to fit into your envelope. So here's the inches card, and here's the metric. So the metric, as you can see, is skinnier and taller, as it should be. So anyway, that's how we went with that. I'll set this card back up. And we are going to go ahead and go to the inside of the card. This is basic white, and it's 3 inches by 4 inches, or in metric, it's 8.5 centimeters by 10 centimeters. I did stamp the flower, this one from the True Beauty stamp set, and Mary Merlot ink. And I went ahead and stamped that. And look, I left a line. I was being picky. So I turned it over and used the other side.
Wait, are you doing the right side?
Well, this was my messed up side, honey. And there's 2 sides to every cardstock. So I just turned it over.
And she never wastes paper.
I try not to.
She will puzzle for several minutes over how
not several minutes.
To cut things out with her dies to maximize her paper usage on her DSP.
Well, when a new Stampin' Up box arrives at my door every week, you at least know I'm using my supplies wisely, right?
Yeah, I just assume those are things that you've sold that you need to distribute.
Oh, of course. It's all things I've sold. None of it's for me. Okay. A lot of it I've sold, but not all of it. Okay, we are going to go next to the front of the tent. And we are going to adhere the Mary Merlot layer. And is that what you have next? Yep, the front of the card. This is 2 1/4 by 5 1/4. And in metric, 6 centimeters by 14.4. And then go to the next slide. I have this pretty balmy blue DSP with white flowers. It's out of the same DSP pack. And this is 2 inches by 5 inches or 5.5 by 13.9 centimeters. And we're just going to adhere those together. Don't you love the way this card looks hard and it's so easy? And I should say, I got a swap when I went to Backstage in New Orleans, and it came from my friend Diane Evans, and she made a card of this style of fun fold, and I hadn't seen it before, and I just loved it. So shout out to you, Diane. Thank you for the great idea. And then I went ahead and made it in different colors and different DSP and different embossing folder. So just like this, you can make this card over and over again, all different ways, and it looks totally different each time. So I'm going to take these 2 layers now and adhere them to the front of that tent piece. I'm glad I didn't forget to say I got that from Diane. And I didn't have her measurements. I just measured her card and made it similar. Okay, so we have that.
Reverse engineered her card.
I did. It was so pretty.
You guys have another word for that. What do you call it?
I'm not sure, because I'm not sure what you're thinking.
I forget. It's just a one silver word with an ED on the end.
I don't know.
You did something to the card.
I'm just going to go ahead and keep going. So I cut 2 of these labels from the pretty pillow box. I talked about this earlier. One in Mary Merlot and one in Balmy Blue. And I'm cutting the Mary Merlot one in half. And I'm just going to adhere my Balmy Blue layer on the top so a little bit sticks out of each side. So it's going to be like this. And then, of course, I did stamp the sentiment just because. And that came from the same stamp set.
See, I assumed that you made one bigger than the other, but you actually made them exactly the same and cut one in half.
Right. I ran them through the die cutting machine. So it looks like they're layering on the side, which is exactly what I wanted. And then I'm going to take some dimensionals and I'm going to pop this up because everything looks better popped up. Right, Steve?
That's what I hear.
So did you do any gardening? You do gardening now. Mainly you make the gardens for me that are raised. Sometimes you buy the dirt when we buy it in bulk.
Till the gardens.
You till the gardens. What do you till the garden with?
Well, either a spade or I have a little tool, a rotary tool where I can, with tines on it, where I can make the dirt break up. And so I basically do all the hard labor. And then you come in and plant your seeds and water your seeds.
Kind of like these videos. I do all the fun parts. And you get to come along and do the techie camera computer stuff. Okay, so now we're doing the layering diorama dies. And I use the 4th biggest one, which is this one right here. And I ran it through and cut out the Mary Merlot. And then I ran it through here. And I wanted to make sure this flower has a lot more Mary Merlot in it, but I didn't want to break into another sheet of DSP. So this one has enough that it's okay. But think about which flower you're going to take. You can see I took both of mine from one sheet, and I will do something with the rest of this. Again, because why waste all this pretty paper, right, Steve?
Right. Otherwise, more boxes would come to the front.
More boxes would come, but it's all things for other people, so that wouldn't matter, right? So I popped it up. I have 5 dimensionals on the back of the DSP layer, and I'm going to grab these off. What else do you like that we grow? I know my daughter-in-law, Amy, loves the strawberries that we grow. So does our son. They are both strawberry lovers.
Well, you have an herb garden too.
Oh yeah, the herb garden. Oh my goodness. Sage and rosemary. And
cilantro
Steve likes
guacamole.
the cilantro for his guacamole. So all the layers on this are up. The DSP is up on Stampin' Dimensionals to adhere to the Mary Merlot. And then the Mary Merlot is on Dimensionals here. Now, the only way you can go wrong is if you put adhesive right here on this back side. So don't get your Dimensionals too far over, because I want the diorama die to hang over the edge because it looks artsy and cute.
But not all the way over the other edge, because then it wouldn't fit in the envelope.
Exactly. Yes, you cannot go over here, but you don't need to. You can just get it where you need it here. But like I said, this card, I will probably make it with every new catalog, with a new stamp set and new paper. And what's old is new again, right, Steve?
Yep.
Okay, so I left that left edge so it's not showing. And I'm just going to center this so it looks cute. Cute is important on here. And then I'm going to grab the rhinestones and I'm going to sprinkle some rhinestones on here. I put one down here on the sentiment layer. I usually do an odd number. One's going to go up here near the top. I'm going to do it almost exactly how I did it on the first card. And there's going to be one down here. Sometimes what I try to do is do like a triangle. This would be a funny looking triangle, but I like how that is. And then, you know, we always stamp the inside that I already showed you. And I like to stamp the envelope. When it comes in the mail, it looks really cute and people get excited before they even open it. So here is my easy fun fold in celebration of gardening. So I know you have lots of presentations to watch today. I hope you enjoy them all. They're from Stampin' Up demonstrators from all over the world, which is super cool. And if you're ever around Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central, which would be 5 p.m. Pacific, I don't know if that's easier, or 8 p.m. Eastern. But if you want to join us or catch my videos are on YouTube on Stamping Mom, and my blog is called stampingmom.com. It's been so much fun sharing this with you today. I hope you enjoy all the videos and hope to see you again soon. Have a blessed day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.